At its heart, sustainability is simply about long-term survival, isn't it? Whether it's of our planet, or of 1,000 species, or of a business. There are a few family businesses here today. Our own one, Vickers Oils, formulates specialised industrial lubricants. We've been based for almost 200 years in Leeds, whence we export worldwide. I represent the 6th, and my son represents the 7th generations of our family in the business. So most multi-generational family businesses, and as I say, there are others in the room, are inherently sustainable. It becomes part of our culture to think and invest generationally, not for the next 5 years. And we are aware of our responsibility, using the words quoted by Andrew and Chris from the Brundtland Commission. We are aware of our responsibility to meet the needs of our own generation without compromising the ability of future generations. And that's been part of our own ethos for a long time. Inspired by their Christian faith and ethics, my ancestors had from the start a sense of societal responsibility and honest governance, two of the pillars, and that's made really a difference for the last few generations. The third pillar of sustainability, environmental, really began for us about 30 years ago, when we started both to improve our on-site practices and also to develop biodegradable, so-called environmentally acceptable lubricants for the marine industry, for the shipping industry, and we became world market leaders in that. Now, led by my colleague Matt, who's here, we have our own task force seeking to minimize our corporate carbon footprint. We have calculated, and as a starting point, as a temporary measure until we can eliminate them, we are offsetting our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, and we're in the process of being audited to claim carbon neutrality for those scopes, but it's merely a first step. The ultimate goal is net zero, and we're assessing the feasibility of how and when we can do this. We've learned a great deal from other companies, including some in this room, who have been willing to share their experience, warts and all, and we're willing to do the same with others who may be interested. Moving to today, it's been said that ours is the first generation to be aware of climate change and the last that has the chance to do something about it. In that perspective, I came here for two reasons. First, to be inspired by the advocates, and I have been in different ways. By David's opening reasoned logic, lubricants are a vital part of the solution to rising energy usage, not part of the problem. To Chris's passion, and we owe you for clean beaches, we owe you for the Eden Project, and today we owe you for the notion of regenerative companies and practices. Thank you for all of those. And by Maurizio for your desire for purpose and to make a difference in the world. Those advocates have inspired me. But the second reason I came here was to gain practical ideas. And these are just some of the ones I've noted. Apologies if anybody's offended that I've not noticed and captured yours. Chris talked about doing our own personal carbon footprints. I think I might go back and do that tonight when I get home. And I loved your advice about action. If you're 70% confident and the other 30% isn't going to kill someone, do it. Maurizio, and indeed most of the other speakers, have urged the need for industry-specific and industry collaborative methodologies. Completely agree. And as John has indicated, UEIL is working with as many partners as possible in Europe and across the world to facilitate the establishment of those methodologies as quickly as we can. And thank you, John, for the plug of the self-assessment spreadsheet. Please do use it. The one thing John didn't say is it's completely free of charge. You don't need to pay a consultant to tell you your carbon footprint. I was really interested in the comments from Cathy and Maurizio and Colin, all about the change of culture which is involved. Cathy talked about the transparency, Maurizio about the vulnerability and humility that's needed, and Colin about people bringing their true selves to the company. I think all of those qualities, much harder to define, perhaps much harder to do, but are absolutely fundamental to achieving what we need. It's not just about structural change, it's got to be behavioral as well. Integrating corporate and sustainability strategies, that's just plain common sense. Tackling the issues that make a difference, not the ones that seem easy to do. The impact of the EU Green Deal, and that lubricants are actually being mentioned in the draft legislation. And that change comes at a price, as Maurizio said. And you were referring, I think, to the financial cost. But there is a deeper cost, I think. There's this attitudinal change that may be an even higher price. Chris, you said, we have kidded ourselves into mass consumerism. And I think we'll have to get real about that. We can't go on like that. I grew up with the saying that there is enough in the world for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. We need to be part of the solution in our own lives as well as in our own companies. So thank you to all our speakers and panelists for your ideas, insights, energy today. You've given us a lot to think about and take home. So in conclusion, I'd just want to spring a short exercise on you. All that said, the danger is that today could, ironically, turn out to be, if you'll forgive a terrible pun, a lot of hot air about hot air. I'd like to propose two things to prevent this. Please, each of you, take the next 30 seconds in silence to reflect on all you've heard and write down one thing that you've decided to take away and start to do tomorrow. 30 seconds starts now. 30 seconds is up. The second part of the exercise is for the next minute, 30 seconds each, and I'll call the 30 seconds. Turn to your neighbour and share that decision. Don't, for heaven's sake, break UKLA's ethical guidance and competition rules. This is about sustainability. We're all in this together. So, one person starts now for 30 seconds. Time. So with that closing decision, that closing conversation in your heads and in your hearts, may I thank you for your attendance, wish you a safe journey home, and encourage you to go home with Chris's confidence ringing in your ears. We will solve this. Thank you.